Welcome to Compassion Speaks. I'm your host, Kevin Weaver, and today we're going to kind of approach things just a little bit differently. On behalf of Sholo TV and of course myself and my family, Hospice Compassus, where I'm a chaplain, I'd like to offer our sincerest and heartfelt condolences to the Officer Darren Reed family. I want to say that on behalf of the folks that I've mentioned, our hearts absolutely are broken. We feel your pain, and today we want to share with you as best as we can in your loss. And honestly, I couldn't think of a better couple to bring on today and to talk about this, and especially being the holiday season, than Dave and Tina Sherman. So thank you guys for being here. And why this is special or important to me, because if anybody is, and if I could say it like this, well acquainted with tragedy and has been in many places and in many situations where there's been profound and tremendous loss, it's been you guys with the Salvation Army. So Dave, Tina, thank you so much for being here and helping us with, during a very difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for having us. Yeah, we're very appreciative of being here, and we want to reach out to those in the community who are still feeling pain from the loss of Darren Reed. That was a tragic circumstance and something that's going to take a while to recover.
Yeah, it just is. It just is. Dave, before we started taping today, you were talking about your experiences at 9/11. I didn't realize that you were there.
Right.
And boy, I think that, I don't want to speak for you. I mean, tell us a little bit about that, what you experienced and how it fits in and how you can be a help to what's happening in our community today.
Sure. Well, I didn't go until February after 9/11, so it's 5 months later. And they're still every day pulling out bodies.
Yeah.
It was incredible. The area in which I worked was just 50 feet from the pit. It was right on the West Side Highway. So every day during my shift, and I worked a 3 to 11 shift. 3 to 11. And I would go over and watch as they did their work down there. And when they discovered a body, everything stopped everywhere.
Right.
And they showed great respect to the fallen, and they would bring down a cart. If it was a police officer or a firefighter, they would put them on a cart, cover them with a flag, and escort them out. My very first shift, and maybe an hour into it, they found the bodies of 5 police officers that were linked arm in arm. They must have been setting themselves against the South Tower coming down, because that's where it was. And I was working the tent that was on the West Side Highway, where all the cops were. And police, that is just such an incredible brotherhood and sisterhood.
Right.
But my tent was within 20 minutes filled with police officers that were angry and upset because, obvious reasons. And we didn't know what to do. I mean, it was so many people all of a sudden that needed some counseling, some help. So we just started praying with people and weeping with people and doing what we could. I made a lot of friends there. Some awesome. The thing that was that everybody did was the cops would give us collar brass if they liked it from their whatever precinct they were working out of. And my favorite one was from Midtown South, which is Kojak's old precinct. So I even asked the police officer that gave me that collar brass, and I would trade out Salvation Army pins for him. But I said, "Do you know who the most famous cop was at your precinct?" No idea. I said, Kojak. He said, Kojak, Midtown South. So that was a surprise to him. But that was just cool. And it was a great experience, but it was a very painful experience. And
Well, and that's what we're talking about today. The pain, of course, it's only a few short weeks after the incident, and I'm sure there's still a lot of anger, a lot of pain, frustration, perhaps even fear. And I want to tell you, folks, for those of you who have tuned in today and are watching, please share this with officers and get them to watch the program today or when it comes on again. Because, I mean, I'm looking into this man's eyes, and they have just welled up with tears. He's been there. You know, oftentimes as a chaplain or a spiritual caregiver, it's very difficult to put myself in your shoes and to understand the loss and to really go to that deep and maybe even dark place. But what I'm seeing in Dave today is a man who he's experienced it. And if I can, Dave, put you out to the community, call this man as a spiritual resource. Call upon your spiritual leaders. Reach out during this very difficult time and find strength.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more that when you're hurting, it's so important to have somebody available that you can just talk to.
Yeah.
And you know, you're a chaplain, you know that.
Exactly.
And sometimes that I've sat across the table from people and just cried with them, and that's it. There was no conversation, no nothing, just because you know what they're going through. Having had that experience and working, police officers are different than the other. Well, firefighters too. Anybody that runs towards the sound of danger,
EMS
you got to be a
personnel.
little crazy, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
it helps. But we're so glad they're there, and every pastor on the mountain, I'm sure, wants to help where they can. I now teach what we call in the Salvation Army emotional and spiritual care. We have that built into every disaster because we know there are going to be people there who are hurting and they don't process it correctly. You know, 5 stages of grief and
Right.
all that. Well, the second stage is anger.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be mad.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Definitely.
It's a good thing. It's part of the healing process. It's important that they are able to talk to. So I want to let everybody know that you can come out and just call us. I'll make myself available to anybody that needs it.
Thank
And,
you. You know, and not just EMS personnel. Of course, we're dealing with this difficult time right now, but other people who have lost loved ones. The holiday seasons can be horrible
tough
for
one.
people.
David is my second husband. My first husband died of cancer, and that happened in October of that particular year. And so, and I thought I was okay until I started pulling out my Christmas decorations, and
Yeah.
oh, it all flooded back.
Yeah.
And I was really immobilized with the grief again that I thought I had handled.
Right.
But I feel your pain, and I'm available to counsel as well. If we can't reach David right away, I'll be glad to speak with anyone as well.
Well, the whole concept of the Salvation Army and the wonderful work that is done during times of disaster, they don't work without funding, and this is a big time of the year for you to push and to receive fund and helps to gather those funds. And talk
Yeah,
about
it
that for a
is.
minute.
Sure. Our kettle, you got the kettle there on the table, and our kettles are our biggest fundraiser of the year, and it lasts a month from day after Thanksgiving up through Christmas Eve. We really appreciate every penny that's put in there, and literally every penny. When I see the little kids come up and put pennies in, it just gives you such a warmth inside, you know. That's one thing. We also need people to help ring the bells because we have just 10 doors that we cover here at about 7 or 8 different businesses. So, and we're glad there's a new Walmart out in Snowflake.
Hey,
Yeah,
there you
yeah.
go.
But it is our biggest fundraiser, and that money, 100% of that money stays on the mountain.
Oh,
Yeah, it
I
all
didn't know
stays
that.
up here. So
really?
yeah, every Salvation Army unit raises their own money, and we do ours here. So we're very proud of that fact that the Army doesn't like insist that we send it all down to Phoenix and then they dole out.
What kind of money do you generally bring in during this holiday season?
Well, last year was about $40,000.
$40,000.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to do better this year.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
all I can say.
Well, you know what? Let's challenge folks right now. Let's challenge pastors and families and schools and businesses.
David and I at Salvation Army up here, White Mountain, we only have 3 paid employees. Everything else is voluntary.
Sure.
And our headquarters does support our overhead and our payroll, and so it allows us to keep the funds up here and use them for helping others.
Excellent. So if a person wants to come out and ring a bell, or if somebody is sitting at home and they really can't get out, can they send a check somewhere?
Sure. It's just call us at Salvation Army. Well, I'll give you the address. It's Post Office Box 1804, or I'm sorry, 490 Show 85902.
Okay.
And our phone number is 368-WWJD, which is 9953. So.
There you go. Excellent. Excellent. You know, and I know Dave said that they appreciate every penny, and I'm sure that they do. But I bet you they would really appreciate $1,000 checks.
Yeah, those are nice, and they do happen.
Of course they do. They have to.
Yeah, and it's an awesome thing, and we're so appreciative of all of our donors, and whether it's $1 or $1,000, it's all good, and every dollar gets put to use. We have a homeless program that we operate here. And we work with now a coalition of agencies and churches that are supporting this program, but the case management is all done at Salvation Army.
And you guys, didn't you do a Thanksgiving dinner?
No, we do a Christmas Day dinner.
Okay. Christmas Day. Oh,
yeah. And this year, I do want to talk about that a second. It's going to be on Christmas Eve because Christmas falls on Sunday this year.
Right.
So it's going to be on Christmas Eve, and it's going to be at the Nazarene Church, New Life Community Church of the Nazarene, 601 South Clark Road.
Right. Yeah, folks, come to that if you can to help, chip in. And honestly, make a commitment this year. I'm going to commit. Every time I walk past a bucket, I'm going to put something in it. I mean, we can all do that. We all have loose change, $1 here, $1 there. Don't pass by a bucket without putting something in it. I honestly did not know that every dime stayed on the mountain. I would not have guessed that.
Yeah.
There's a little misconception when someone puts a check in there. We do get those funds, but they do get mailed to a quick processing.
Of course.
That's in Payson or
Prescott.
Prescott. And then it's processed and the money comes back to White Mountain.
Excellent.
So there's a little misconception there. It does get sent away, but it comes right back.
And sometimes when you do that, you're going to get mail because you get on a list then. But all you have to do is request to be taken off that list because we get junk mail, from.
Or what, folks, if you get the mail, I mean, my goodness, just take it and stop for a minute, reflect upon it, think about the good things that the Salvation Army is doing, and maybe offer a prayer for them. Honestly, this whole thing today is about getting involved and reaching out and helping
your neighbors.
one another, helping your neighbor, sitting with them, crying with them, laughing with them. Dave, we've got just a few seconds left. What I want to do is I want to put my money where my mouth is. I got a little bit of money here. I'm not giving it all to you. That's for lunch.
Yeah, a guy's got to eat.
Can this be the first $5 of the season?
God bless you.
Here it
Thank
is.
you.
There it is, folks. Our money where our mouth is.
Yeah,
Hey, Dave, Tina. Thank you, guys. Really, thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. And folks listening, get out the word. Let's love on each other this holiday season. Let's listen to each other. Let's reach out. When you see one of these buckets, don't pass by without putting something in it. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be back just in a moment with our next one. Welcome back to Compassion Speaks. And today, who I have with me and us, I'm very excited about this. I have the Santa and Mrs. Claus. This is it. For those of you who say that Santa isn't real, you've tuned in today and you're seeing that they are. Here they are. Santa, Mrs.
That's
Claus.
right.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
I mean, we're so fortunate to get you. I mean, your schedule's hectic, and but you took out a little time to be with us and talk about what you do. So, Santa.
Well, last Saturday, I went to St. John's to the Christmas craft show and had numerous, probably 200 kids sat on my lap and got their picture taken and gave me their list of what they wanted for Christmas. And I had a couple old ladies and 2 of the St. John's policemen sat on my lap and got their picture taken.
Well, you know, it's important to do what you do. Now, see, this is really Santa Claus, and I don't know if I'm going to convince you guys or not, but I was talking to Santa and Mrs. Claus before we started taping, and he said, I mean, he's Santa every day of the year. Matter of fact, I think we're going to be able to put up a picture of their car. That'll just prove to you. And when you see this car driving around town, I mean, it's not the typical reindeer and sleigh, because after all, it's the
Well, the
21st
reindeer
century.
eat too much and they don't like the summer down here.
And plus they poo all over the
Yeah,
place, right?
they make a mess if I bring them near town.
That's what he tells. That's what he tells all the little kids when they ask where the reindeer are. He says he parks them way out of town because they make a mess.
Well, Santa, where are you going to be around this year? This
Well, we're
December.
going to be at the senior center in Show Low on probably the 19th of this month. And then we're going to do the lighting in Snowflake on the 1st. And then we're going to do
Pinetop.
the lighting in Pine Top and Lakeside on the 2nd.
Okay.
And
A family event on that Saturday.
family event on that Saturday.
So you do a lot of public appearances, senior centers and
Yes.
places like that.
Yes.
But can families
Yes.
contact you
Yes.
to have you guys come
We
in?
do 3 or 4 places on Christmas Eve. And then when I'm driving home, if I happen to go past a house with a lot of cars around it, Santa Claus stops
Stops,
and
yes.
surprises them.
Ah,
with a
surprise
visit from
guest
Santa
appearance
Claus.
of Santa. How cool is that? So here, my encouragement would be to have lots of parties, park lots
Right.
of cars, put out lots of lights, and just maybe, you can find
Santa
time
Claus
to show up.
may show up on your door
Yeah. Now, do you
rather
guys,
than come down the chimney.
does Santa and Mrs. Claus really get a lot of letters from children? Do you get letters?
We do.
You do.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
And
some of them are sad because they don't have Christmases, and then some of them want lists that are longer than their.
Your ability to fulfill, huh?
Yeah, a few years
And-
back, everybody wanted a tablet and a cell phone. Last year they wasn't so bad, was they?
no,
But and the first year that we started actually doing it publicly, he told every little kid that asked for something they was going to get it.
Uh-oh.
I said, "You cannot do that."
Uh-oh.
so Santa made a
Cannot do-
mistake.
Well, but you know what? Every little kid can sure wish and hope. And I mean, isn't it all about wishing and hoping?
Yes.
You know, I work as a grief counselor. And oftentimes we kind of say, well, you know, we'll never offer somebody false hope when we're dealing, whether it be hospice or different situations. But you know what? Honestly, Santa, really, there's no such thing as false hope. There's
No.
hope. And what you offer is hope. And you know, and the reality of it is, we don't always get what we ask for.
Well, he tells them all now that he'll tell the elves.
Exactly.
And sometimes what the kids ask for, it's so out of price that he'll say that he has a long list of those, and so they're taking numbers. And so not everybody can get
Well,
it that year.
we can only manufacture so many
Exactly.
tablets and so many cell phones.
Exactly.
So when-
Exactly.
And sometimes you may have to wait a couple years to get yours.
Exactly. Well, so you know, I've often wondered, does Santa and Mrs. Claus? I mean, I call you Santa and Mrs. Claus. Do you guys got names? What's Santa's real first name? What's Mrs. Claus' real first name?
That's Mrs. Claus is Janet,
Hi, Janet.
Aye.
and Mr. Claus is Charles or Charlie.
Charlie. So Janet and Charlie, see, you guys feel comfortable. Kids, when you see them around town, Mr. and Mrs. Claus, Santa, that's important. Be respectful. But, you know, they're real people with a real mission and a real heart to help people in the community. So Charlie and Janet.
They all love to come, when I'm in Bashes or someplace and they see me, they come running to give me a hug.
Oh,
Because all he wears is red shirts now.
That's all my total wardrobe is
Red.
strictly red shirts
well,
and a hat that says Santa on the back
If
and a
he's,
picture of Santa on the front.
when it gets closer to the holidays though, and we're out like in Walmart or one of the other grocery stores, and these kids start screaming and hollering, the mother will bring him over and say, Santa, can you talk to these
Santa the babysitter.
Yeah,
Well, because, you know, Santa really what it's all about is that spirit of helps,
right.
that spirit of giving, that spirit of love that we need to find a way to maintain
That's
every day
right.
of our lives.
We got to get it back.
Now, I mentioned letters. Miss Janet, Mrs. Claus, you have a letter here that you brought that I think you received last year.
Yes.
Would you like to share this with the folks watching and kind of tell us what happened with this?
Well, when we get these lists, quite often the line is moving so fast
We
that we
don't
don't
have
get a
time
chance to read
stop
it.
and read it
Right.
till we get home.
But on the way home, this little girl, she said, me and my 14-year-old sister, and she's 12, we didn't have a Christmas for the past 2 years, so please go, I can't reach, first let us get a great Christmas this year. And what their list was: a tablet, phone, dresses for church, book, boots, a snow cone maker,
Quite a list.
quite a list. And then Christmas last year we did not get a Christmas at all. So we
We did a lot of
We made it,
detective work
yeah.
because of the girl's name,
she
Uh-huh.
has
and we contacted the school,
she had an unusual first name.
and they knew who she was, but they couldn't give us any
course.
information.
Of course.
But we contacted them again, and we did get their sizes
Excellent.
from the school. And then
One of our neighbors.
one of the lady that has a design shop in Taylor, I told her about it and gave her the sizes, and she went and bought them dresses
and
for
tights
each girl.
and shoes.
And then
We got
we
'em.
did some more sleuth work, and then we found out, we told our granddaughter about it, and she had a friend that lives in St. John's,
in the same age.
the same age, so she texted her on her cell phone, and she found out the girl's last name, and then we was able to get to the mother, and then she talked with the mother.
So see, folks, Santa's got connections. He didn't do this all on his own. And I want to tell you this, he didn't have a shipment come in from the North Pole for this family. I don't want to embarrass you folks, but they spent $1,000 out of their own money to make this work. And I think every little child and big child like myself, I mean, I want the best Christmas ever every year.
Yeah.
And I don't have to have lots of things, but I still want the best Christmas ever. And we have a responsibility. When we hear of these needs and we receive these letters, we've got to find a way to make this work. Maybe write or get a hold of Santa and Mrs. Claus and say, hey, how can I help?
That would
Do
be
you have one
wonderful.
of those letters? Can you get that letter to me? And folks, we can make this happen. We can make this the best holiday season, the best Christmas that the White Mountains has ever seen. And it will have everything to do with love and giving of small gifts, reasonable gifts, responsible gifts, but sharing, just sharing and networking. And as we mentioned in the previous show, every time you pass by the Salvation Army bucket, put a few nickels or dimes in. Whenever you hear of these needs, find people to help. I do make myself available to you. Call me. And if I can't do it, I'll help find somebody. There's people right here in this TV studio. I bet you we can get them to help. And this thing can snowball. And the main thing that we want to propagate or really get out there this holiday season is that we need to love and take care of each other.
Yes. And we do, we haven't got dates set yet this year, but last year we did the Head Start program in Sibique, the Head Start program in White River, the Head Start program in McNary. Then we did a big photo thing in White River, and we did one in Fort Apache.
So you guys are all over the mountain. And
Yes.
Santa Mrs. Claus, honestly, we flat out have run out of time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for what you do. Again, folks, look for these guys around town. Support, sponsor, love, give them a hug. Tell them that you appreciate what they do. And let's make this the very best holiday season ever. Thank you for being here. And thank you, folks, for tuning in. This has been Compassion Speaks.
Thank you.